I'm focusing on this right now. You can just relax, if that's okay. I'm not going to pay any mind while you just kind of watch me. Or you can not watch me. I guess I don't care, but you seemed curious. So, yeah, I'm going to make note cards for the cognitive functions to explain them to you, because I feel like it'll be a lot easier if I have them in pieces. I have 2 different charts explaining them here that I made myself, but they can still get a little confusing to read. So I think the functions on note cards, that'll just help me type myself and anybody else in the future, just in case I change types, because there are a couple that seem appealing at the moment. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 3 more. So there's 8 functions. 8 functions. Remember that. 8 functions. It's important. 8. 9 is not a real number. Well, it is. But 10 is not a real number. Let's be real. Okay, so these 3. You're not going to ask me to explain how 10 is not a real number, because it's just 1 and 0 put back together. It's not a digit. It's a number. It's not a digit. You can't say 10 is a digit the way that 9 is. And you can't say that 9 is a digit the way that, like, 3 is, because it's just 3 times itself. 4 plus itself 3 times. Just times itself. I don't know. Just times plus itself twice. So it's 3 plus 6. I don't know. I'm just saying, obviously, this is like the most basic math in the world. This is just the kind of stuff that you need to be able to think about if you're going to bother looking into the cognitive functions. The cognitive functions are nothing you've never heard before. It's nothing you don't do. That's the problem. It's everything we do. It's everything. It's everything that happens in our brains and our bodies in some level. And you can't escape that this is what you do on some level. And once you learn about that, this is my problem here. I'm kind of going to warn you. Learning about these shadow work stuff and these functions can be really jarring. It can even be upsetting to hear about who you really are inside versus who you act like most of the time. I'm sure, dealing with the fact that I've been living in my shadow for so long, I didn't know that it was okay to be who I was, and I was so ashamed of the stereotypes about who I was that it kept me from being myself. Even today, I'm still living in my shadow. I've yet to escape, but I have hope for the first time in my life. So this is why I'm going to explain it, not only for my own peace of mind, but just so that someone else can be helped too by all this wonderful information I've learned. I forgot I was gonna do my makeup. Okay, so at the same time, I'm gonna be doing my makeup while I explain these, and then while I explain how they fit together, I'll be doing yours, I want to say. That's how this is gonna work out. So I just put on lip balm. I walked away. You didn't see. I always put on lip balm. It's this Summer Fridays brown sugar. You know, if you're allergic to stone fruit, don't get the cherry one because it's real cherry. I found out the hard way. And I put on some eye primer from Sunset Makeup because they got the pigment hookup. I digress. Cognitive functions, MBTI. I'm giving you an MBTI test informally because you're not going to be able to answer questions. Kind of a quiet dude over here. But I'm the loud one, which is why I'm going to try to whisper so that you can listen. But I am not good at remembering to whisper. So when I say whisper, know that I mostly mean this type of soft-spoken, maybe even a little louder, especially because I'm probably going a little bit passionate talking about it, okay? Take a deep breath with me. Take a deep breath. Okay. I'm primed. I'm going to put more primer on, the face primer kind. Because I have it. I might as well use it. Okay. Face. Now primed. so glad I started paying attention to skincare. My skin sucked. Like 3 years ago, I had terrible skin. Now I understand science, and life is better. I taught myself more chemistry through cooking and skincare than I ever learned from my chemistry teacher in high school. And that's a fact. He was terrible. He drank Lipton tea bags sitting in Deer Park water bottles. There was no heat involved. That's cold brew tea. But like throughout the day, the school day, cold brew. And he listened to Maroon 5 and he spoke a bit like at this cadence, and he always had this concerned and confused, maybe even a small hint of humored. He was so annoying. Anyway, don't I love to digress? I'm just gonna jump right in. Are you familiar with the chakras? Are you familiar with the MBTI? Are you familiar with the cognitive functions? Are you familiar with Jungian psychology and shadow work? No? Well, you will be by the end of this video. I want you to know, dear viewer, that it is perfectly normal for you to not like who you are when you're stressed. It's normal that there's a version of you that you feel like is practically unattainable. It's so ideal. And that there's a version of you that you would rather be all of the time. It's very normal. I just poked myself in the eye. I want you to know, because I don't got a mirror right here. I think you're my mirror. I want you to know that it's very normal that when you are under stress, you don't like who you become. That's called your shadow, and it's the basis of Jungian psychology. I need you to know that that's a normal thing, because I didn't know it was a normal thing, and I was sitting here feeling bad about myself and who I became when I was stressed for all these years, and there's no good reason for it. I'm not going to say there's no reason for it, because there's definitely a reason, and it's what I'm going to talk about, but it doesn't ring true that you feel like a bad person. It doesn't mean you are one. You know what I mean? So it's important to pay attention to what makes you feel like that so that you can make sure that you know, so that you can make sure that you know it's not true. Does that make sense? So, for example, in my shadow, I'm not going to talk about myself as an example because I get confused between what's my shadow and what's my real me. Here's a big important concept. There's these four functions. I know I said the second one would be about how they work together. That's not really, it's going to be kind of the other way around. Maybe. I don't know. I'm very indecisive. Which is why I think I actually am an ENFP. As much as I would like to deny it and that I'm scared of the stereotypes, I'm pretty sure I'm an INFJ under stress, my shadow, and I'm an ENFP when I'm relaxed. So I'm a camper. There's a lot of stereotypes, single word labels for these identities. I don't even know where to begin right now. You're familiar with the ENFP, INFP, INTJ, ESFP, ESFJ. You've heard all these letters. You probably don't know what they mean. I have a hard time still remembering exactly how to put together what they mean for the functions, but I know exactly how to tell you which letter's which. E for extroverted, I for introverted, S for sensing, N for intuiting, T for thinking, F for feeling, J for judging, P for perceiving. That's it. Those are the letters that you have to remember. And in this process, we create the functions, which have one letter for what is going on, and then another letter for what is what is inward or outward about it. I don't know if that makes any sense. I just kind of zoned out for a second. I'm not gonna fake. So any is I thought it was my dominant function. It's my favorite function because it's my childhood dream to just put it all together. So any is extroverted intuition. Its counterpart being an I. Of course, I'm confusing myself by saying any. I don't want to say it nay, and ni is an I. But I'm going to write it big, N-I, because these are flashcards. It's intuition, but the introverted kind, which is a lot harder for me. I'm not going to say I don't do it a lot, but it's harder for me to admit that it's just as practical. Okay. So then the other main one that I do a lot is te. T-E. Which is thinking. That is extroverted. When I think, it is always out loud. Hence, the smart videos. I have a lot of trouble with keeping my thoughts to myself. I don't like that. So the shadow of my te, the thing, the opposite function that I have more trouble with, te I think of as thinking in this context is about crises, is about problems, how we think about problems. So te is problem solving. Ti is problem finding. I think finding problems may or may not be one of the most stressful things I can encounter on this earth. It is the opposite of fun to me. I don't like finding problems. It's very tricky because it makes me panic. Having to go through, check my bank account, check my grades, take my car to the shop, go to the doctor's office. Those are things that make me extremely uncomfortable, and that's heavy, heavy T. If you get excited to go to the dentist or something weird like that, get excited to check your grades because you know they're going to be good, you're one of those crazy people who uses T a lot. I can't handle you. Maybe that means I was an INFJ long ago at some point. I don't know. It doesn't matter. There's a point to saying that you can be under stress and find yourself admirable, and you can also not be under stress and find yourself admirable, so that your shadow is not to be thought of as a negative version of you, just the other version of you. So something else I use other than nay and te a lot in my, I'm going to call it the selfish version of myself. That's not necessarily, so this is the one from under stress, which is the ENFP, which would make me actually an INFJ, like I thought. Whatever. This one is phi. I don't know. I don't know about that. I definitely do like to use phi a lot. Maybe I'm just a selfish person. It's hard to say. See, this is the kind of stuff that I'm like, I don't know, you kind of got to be ready if you're going to like get into it for yourself. But somebody's told you, and they've told you wrong, so I need to do this for myself regardless. Feeling in the introverted sense. I also have trouble keeping my feelings to myself. I'm not going to lie. So, thoughts and feelings to myself. It's not that I don't use phi, kind of like ni. I definitely use it. It's dominant, but it is not what I think is right, as right. And the component to phi, being fe, extroverted thinking, phi is like your values. It's like what you think should be for you. Fe is just how you help others, how you care. It's how you show no, I think I'm definitely an ENFP, and that I would only focus on this if I were under extreme stress. Which life is extreme stress, which is another reason I'm like, it's not bad to be able to be in your shadow. If anything, it's kind of useful, but it can be exhausting. So, especially for a long time, you kind of just collapse back into who you are. Okay, so then the last two, by far the most confusing to understand the difference for me, are say and see. I mean, I do understand the difference, but it's hard. It's harder. So C is like learning stuff. It's like focusing on one thing, especially, I mean, inside your body is part of it to some degree. But sensing introverted is a lot harder for me. That's why it's my aspirational trait. Say, just sitting back and watching and taking everything in, that's a lot easier for me, but kind of to the point where it feels like I should never do it, because sitting back and watching, isn't that just being a bystander, and isn't that kind of like worse than acting out and like being antagonizing for a while? You're just kind of watching someone be antagonizing and watching someone being hurt, and you're doing nothing. No, I don't like say for that. I mean, I need it to be a component in the things I do care about. So when I'm heavy on when I'm too heavy on the fee, I need some say so that I don't get overwhelmed with, I don't know, my own thoughts and feelings. I have to be able to care about the way the world is outside. So those are those 8 functions. I can get more in depth about each one, and how it kind of relates to the chakras. Because the chakras actually are more about the roles in your function lineup, and then that's how I'm going to ever be able to type myself is through the chakras, because I have trouble with just the Jungian. I'm kind of getting tired. Okay, but I am still gonna do my makeup because I want to. So the thing about the chakra stuff is that it's like, you know how the root is like your safety, your sense of safety, and also kind of comfort then, but also like trust, your most basic sense of trust. That's what that dominant function is all about, is that sense of safety and comfort. It's just what you do. It's not anything complicated. It's not what you think you should do. It's not what you think you should do for others. Just when nobody's looking, including yourself, this is what you end up doing. So for me, as of right now, what I just end up doing, if I were an ENFP, would be sit and look at things and then sum them up. Which is, no, that's what I do now, because I am an INFJ as of right now. That's an E and I. Nay, what I think I should do all the time and that I don't do, and it feels distracting when I'm stressed for too long, is to see where it all comes from. To look for multiplicity in things rather than simplification. Because that's how I further my values. That's why nay and fee go together for me. They always will. Because part of my values is not being a bigot. And to not be a bigot, you have to be able to use NE at least a little. You have to be able to believe in things outside of yourself. Believe in the emotional things that you don't currently experience. That's what it's all about. And a lot of people are really, really bad at that. A lot of people are really, really bad at using either part of their intuition. the way that I'm kind of bad at sensing, but not bad at sensing, I'm just almost too good. So good at sensing that I get overwhelmed by it and I can't keep going. You know, that's different than like people whose intuition is underdeveloped. It's kind of scary to me in a different way. Like, at least I can do what you can't do. Like, or no, that didn't make any sense. At least I can do what you say you're best at. I can still at least try. When they try to use their intuition, they get so upset with when they realize that they don't have to be bad people, and they just sort of, you kind of know what I mean, right? Somebody told me on Instagram earlier this day that they agreed with what I was saying in my reel, but that my what they said middle school stash was not it. Well, I hate to inform you, I am not very far on my testosterone journey. I wouldn't have a full-grown mustache, even if I had one. And I look really silly with this kind of dark hair vibe that now I've got going on. This does not look real at all. KK, don't fall. Okay, this does not look real. I'm going to try to wipe. That smells like ass. I don't know why that smells so bad. I use rags instead of towels or cotton pads a lot for makeup because I'm always cutting a t-shirt. I always have the leftovers and I never want to throw it away. And it's the only thing they're good for, I'm gonna be honest. That or dry my hair, but then I need a whole t-shirt, so. Maybe this is less middle school because I made it bigger. But the shape of it, I'm sorry to say, is always going to be like this, because that's where my hair would grow. Like, what else do I do? I think people just hate on mustaches because they don't understand style or taste, which is fine. I understand not having style or taste. I'm going to show you something fun. Something really fun. I have magic lip balm. You see this? This is clear. It's lychee flavored. It's actually called lip oil, but I would not describe it as such. Watch this. But turn my lips pink. I like it. I don't know. I think it looks cool. Where did I leave off with the functions? I don't even know. There's nay. There's knee. Feet. See. I feel like I've explained them all. The chakra thing. Oh, I left off there. Dominant. Yeah. The auxiliary is your second chakra. I know that sounds like it doesn't make any sense. At least it didn't to me. That your hips have anything to do with. I'm insane. Of course, hips have to do with being a parent. They're called birthing hips. That's the whole point of having wide hips as a female or a lady of any form. It's the wide hips is for being a mom. You know, the stereotypical Pixar mom. It makes a lot of sense. Are you seeing this shit? I turned my lips pink. It's clear, and I turned my lips pink. I think that is really cute. Oh, and that's severely uneven. Huh. Okay, it's barely a shadow, but I kind of like it better like that. Anyway, and then I also have from Sunset Makeup, those are both from Sunset Makeup, this one and that lip oil. This one is really, really red. But I like how they look together. And what else do I have now? I have like a little blushy dude. No. This does not belong. This blushy dude that I'm gonna put. Ooh, I hear a car. Very loud car. I'm sure it's driving away. Driving away it is. So I just put kind of like a V shape of blush on my face. That was really loud. Really, really severely loud. I didn't enjoy that whatsoever. Now I'm gonna blend it. So anyway, I guess I keep forgetting what I'm fucking talking about. The second one is your hips, because it's auxiliary support. It's also your structure of your body. It is based around your hips somewhat, so it makes a lot of sense that all the structure you give yourself in your brain and you give other people is part of how you feel intimate. Because I think of the second chakra as your intimacy chakra. If your safety, your basic sense of self is your first one, your partner is your second one. Which would also make sense as how you parent has to do with who you partner. So then your third one is your inner child. That's your tummy, your digestion, your solar plexus. Has to do with your child. When you think about what you crave, that's in your stomach. That's where your kid lives, in your stomach. And that's why nostalgic flavors are so important to us. Your heart is your anima. It's what you aspire to be, but it's also the 8th chakra, which doesn't exist in most worlds, but I'm going to tell you about why I think it's real now. And then the 5th chakra, your throat, becomes your distraction, your opposing lead, which makes a lot of sense that you develop your shadow later in life and not early on. I think of the top chakras, the head ones, as the wise adult ones, and you stop at your heart for a long time in your prime before you develop your throat as you age. And then your third eye, your wisdom, is what feels like a critical parent, parenting in the bad sense, parenting in the hard sense, structure in the way that is difficult. And then 7 being, oh, I just cracked my knuckles. I'm sorry. I don't like that noise. 7 being detachment, your crown chakra being how you let go from everything else, and that's your deceiving, because it's the opposite of your aspirational in terms of distance, kind of the way that your safety is away from your aspirational in terms of distance. And then it would make sense that your 8th chakra lives in your heart next to where your 4th one does, and that there's a square, a regular empty square inside your heart, the window into you, when you are happy. And when you are stressed, it becomes divided into quadrants and turned into 8 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 70, instead of 4, and that's the will, the what you aspire to, what your heart chakra is your will to live. And what isn't your heart chakra, what is next to it, is what isn't your will to live, your willn't to live. And that's why it seems demonic to some people, that last thing. But to me, that is made sense by the fact that the heart chakra is both green and pink. And I conceive of my emotions, my happiness, as including both green and pink. Green being outdoor happiness, pink being indoor happiness. Home happiness, comfort happiness is very different to me than being out in public and being happy. And I think that it's my will to always be shooting for that type of public happy. And that private happy is something I should be ashamed of in some regard. And that's why, even though sensing extrovertedly, just watching things, could be my childhood love trait, and I can see how it can transmute there, I think it's not, because I feel worst when I give into that one. Whereas when I solve problems, that brings me childlike joy in a good way. Just watching problems unfold, that brings me childlike horror, childlike despair. I mean, I hate it. So it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Am I missing anything? Highlighter or freckles or both? Okay, freckles first. So I guess all I'm trying to say is that everybody goes through stress and everybody recovers from it eventually. If you pay attention to yourself, you will realize there's nothing wrong with who you are when you're stressed. In fact, you might admire that person who you spend time with the most. Probably someone else that you admire, so you'll probably relate to that type. And then your best friend, like my best friend, he's an INFP and I'm an ENFP, which means his shadow, ENFJ, is my goal type. In some regards, it's like what's in between to me. I mean, they're both what's in between my types, but I would rather be whatever he is right now. Could be his shadow too, and he could be an ENFJ when he's happy. I'm not sure, and it's none of my business to take care of all of my friends at once. I also realized recently that I don't need to be everybody's friend, and that's kind of a crazy breakthrough for me. But I am your friend. Simply because you've been here for half an hour, and anybody I can hang out with and talk to for half an hour must be my friend. So, I'm going to describe them all in order one more time, just to make sure you remember that NE is like looking at a flower, seeing that it has individual petals, and thinking to yourself, wow, I know that means there's just one flower, but I think I should look at each one individually and focus on how, oh, I'm doing this the wrong way. There's markers for this. I think I should focus on how different things can be from each other rather than how the same they are, because it's almost too easy for my brain to see how the same things are, and my default mode then is just expand. Another view of this, I'm going to grab this black brush. Make sure I'm drawing on a space that's not going to be violated by this pen, because I need to start really thick at the bottom, and then it leads to all these different little, oh yeah, it's coming together. It's coming together all right. Tributary, tributary, tributary. And whoever can look back from the river and find all the tributaries, he is the surveyor. And And he is a protector. And I think that those people are important. I think going up the tributaries to find what's there is how we stay alive. I don't think that there's another way. So I'm drawing arrows, and where's that little brush? Oh, it's right here. No, that's the other one. Where's that little brush? Oh, it's right here. Okay. So this goes up there. This goes up there. Going towards the ends of the tributaries. We don't know as much about the mouth of the river in this setting. This is an E. N-E. My default. Oh, do you like my stickers? They were on my bong that broke from my apartment, and then I didn't want to get rid of them, so poor moth, poor bong, got another Mothman. That's what it says. This is my chart about the chakras. I think that the shapes are important because that's what 1 looks like, and that's what 2 looks like, and that's what 3 looks like, and that's what 4 looks like, and that's what 8 looks like when you add the quadrants. That's what 5 looks like, and that's what 6 looks like, and that's what 7 looks like. 7 looks like a house. I think those things are important, but I also have synesthesia, so that's not my. So then N E is what I just did, and I is and I is one where you have the same flower, but you're looking inward at the petals. And the fact that it's 5-petaled is what tells you, the viewer, that it's just one flower, and you're adding them up. Adding things up is really fun, but it's kind of diseased to me. To focus on that over anything else. Because that's how you get stereotypes, and that's how you get kind of like I should write words on this. Summing it up, multiplicity versus summing it up. I'm gonna write some archaic little figures here, like, let's see here. Summing it up. That's neat. Adding things together. It can be really satisfying, but it's not as morally sound to me. That leads me to the next one that I understand best, which is my values. That's usually represented with a heart, but I'm also going to show it as a nerd. I'm going to draw a little nerd face because I think that that's the other I think it's this dorky version of your values in some regard. Or and FE is also being able to meditate. Self-focus meditation. internal feelings. That's what it looks like to me anyway. And then feeling extroverted to me is like the opposite, where it's all about outstretched hands, open arms, and gift giving, helping hand, anything like that. Granted, that could be backwards because those are my values, but this is what we're working with. Helping, gifting, giving. I think that's what I mean by this one. Get these colors mostly out rather than keep putting them in. Ah, yes, colors. Okay. Helping hand, gift giving. That's what I see. That's FE versus FI. Fee versus Fe. What is actually right versus what feels nerdy. You can see which one's my shadow from how I draw them. So Te, problem solving. That's summing it up, but in the useful way. I'm just going to write the phrase, be a problem solver, because that's all it is to me. Or the feeling of going, I'm done. In general, is this. Feeling of going, I'm done. So relaxing. Okay. Be a problem solver. I'm done. That's Te. And T is worrywart feeling to me, but it's checkups. So I'm gonna draw, let's see, a little car. And cross for medical stuff with a stethoscope. And that looks like a turtle. That car looks like a major turtle. And grades, money, problem finder. I'm not even dignifying that with ink because it scares me. And then we have C and say, just being the watching, C being the learning. So I'm gonna draw like a monocle on a face, probably. I'm gonna draw the monocle first. And then the face inside. to study. And this one is just simple. Just watching. Me watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars 2D when I was 2 years old. Okay. Those are the ones that I like versus I don't like. That's crazy. I just did a lot. And now it's been a lot of minutes, so I'm done. But next time, I'll talk about how mine fit together and how that makes me an ENFP and an INFJ. I'm going to stop hiccuping now, maybe. And then I'll do your makeup. Okay. I hope you had fun listening. I hope you had fun being here. I have to go the fuck to sleep. We'll do this in the morning. How about that? We'll do this in the morning.